Let me ask you a question. How long have you been running? Because it might surprise you to know that the hard truths you have to learn when you start running are actually very different from the hard truths you need to know if you plan to run for many years. Luckily, this channel is dedicated to taking you from A to the person that you want to be. So here are 8 hard truths of being a runner for years. Now, before we get into these 8 nuggety pearls of wisdom, let me ask you 2 questions and I'll take 30 seconds of your time. The first one is, are you subscribed to the channel? Because if you're not, please do help us get to 100,000 subscribers before my birthday, which is, by the way, the 24th of September. Currently predicted to reach it on the 17th of September. That's too tight for me. Let's make it happen earlier. Massive appreciation. So if we've ever brought you value in any way or do in this video, consider subscribing to the channel. Secondly, our autumn marathon plans. Class 2 is up and running. We've still got time. You've still got about a month and a half of the window being open. So if you're looking to train for an autumn marathon and you want a guided, interactive plan with community at its heart, then consider taking a punt on us for less than the price of a coffee a week. That to me is just mind-blowing value. All of the information is in the description to this video. All right, you want the hard truths of running for years? Let's get it. Okay, but we may as well start here for point 1 because it feels like a pretty relevant topic to me right now. But if you're in running for many years, really long term, there are going to be points when you completely fall out of love with the process of running. And you know what? That's okay. Here's why. See, there's no doubt about it. Running is tough on the body and mind. Take me, for example, just went through a whole training cycle for Boston, ran the Boston Marathon, and since that point, probably 5 weeks ago now, just haven't looked forward to any run, don't get any enjoyment from the runs. But I know it's gonna be okay. I need to stop for this bit to make the point and probably take my glasses off. The reason I know it's gonna be okay is I've been doing this long enough to know that I love running. That will never change, but there will be periods like right now where I don't get any enjoyment from it, maybe because I'm just completely fatigued from the training block previously. So what I do, well, actually I do a few things to make sure I stay running even when I don't enjoy running. And the first thing I do, or don't do actually, depending on how you look at it, is I don't ever force a run when I'm not feeling it. So it's been 5 weeks. This week alone, this is only my 2nd run and it's Sunday. But I would rather just run when I feel like it so that I don't feel like I'm forcing it, because ultimately I get to run. I don't have to run. And I need to remember that. Anything that feels forced will make me resent it more. I've also been in the gym a hell of a lot. So since Boston, I've been in the gym about 3 to 4 times a week. Been doing a bit of cycling. So I've been focusing on my strength and I've been trying to maintain my base for when that love comes back. And the reason I stopped here and I'm going back this way is because this is the turnaround point on my run and it feels like the turnaround point on the journey, if you like that. Oh my God. So yeah, that run was awful, pace really low, heart rate sky high. I was all over the shop, just disgusting. But I move on to the next, because here's what I've learned is you can't fall in love with every run. You can fall in love with running as a lifestyle, and they're 2 very different things, and they're what I cling to in times like this. If you've been in running for a very long time, this tends to happen. You have a ludicrous amount of kit that no human could ever use. And the thing is, a lot of this I don't even buy. I'm actually given when you do races, as I'm sure you are as well. So have a look at this. These are all technical t-shirts, all from races. Sometimes they give you 2 at one race to start and then finish. And it's crazy to think that every race you get at least one of these. And the only reason I take most of them is because I don't want them to end up in a rubbish dump somewhere. But most of them are made of a kind of plastic composite. And it doesn't just end with these. You have to think about shoes too, because if you're running long term, then you're probably going to need to replenish and replace shoes from time to time. And I appreciate, as a YouTuber, I probably have more shoes than most, but I don't have more shoes than all. And then you got to think, what do you do with the ones you don't want anymore? There are schemes like Saucony over here in Thailand at least that offer you money off if you bring your old trainers in when you purchase new ones. But not all companies I know do that. However, some bigger shops that are more like a superstore, they offer just money off for any trainers. Like I don't use these Hokas anymore. And there are certainly, in the UK at least, I know charities that you can give these trainers to so they go somewhere where they're used and of benefit rather than just into a landfill, which we definitely don't want. And I guess if you are going to be running long term, you are going to be using a few pairs of trainers, and really what I just want to know is, are they being put to good use after I finish using them? I don't want to just throw them in the bin. So just some ideas for you. A hard truth about running that's true about life itself is you're going to make a lot of mistakes. Some will be small and only have minor impact. Maybe making a cold worse by trying to train through it, or maybe not eating enough in the lead up to a race. And sometimes the mistakes are bigger. Overtraining or pushing through minor pains until they become injuries. 2 days out becomes 2 weeks or months. But here's the thing about mistakes. They're rich in learning. Each time you make a mistake, you find out a bit more about yourself and your body. They actually make you stronger long term. So don't fear mistakes. Embrace them for what they are. An opportunity to be better.
One hard truth that you're going to learn in time in running is that injuries are not here to stop you. They shouldn't stop you. They really are part of the process and part of the journey, and part of my journey right now. I'm injured at the moment. I've got a problem with my neck and compressed discs, so I'm not allowed to run at the moment. But as you can see, I'm here on the elliptical because I know I'll be back to running, and I want to do everything I can to keep my routines, to keep my fitness, and to keep positive and mentally strong. When you're putting your body through it, day to day, week to week, month to month as a runner, you do run the risk of injury, and so many runners get injured. But it is just part of the process and almost part of the puzzle you've got to try and unpick, work out maybe what went wrong, what you can do better next time to protect your body and to stay in the game. But what's really key is that you don't let those injuries defeat you. It's just something you have to work through and navigate, and hopefully you can come back stronger.
Another hard truth that you're going to have to come to terms with if you are going to run for the long term, and that's you're going to change as a person. And I mean that physically and mentally. You see, running when you do it for a long time does slightly alter your body shape. It doesn't necessarily alter your weight, and it might not change you at all, and you have to be prepared for that, because there's a lot more to changing in body shape and weight loss and stuff like that than just running. There's diet, how you live your life, everything in there. But be prepared that you might see some changes. Although a lot of athletes that I coach often tell me that they don't lose weight in the early days like they would expect to, and I counter that muscle is denser than fat, and there's a transitional swap period, so don't worry about it too much. But you're also going to change as a person, and here's how I saw it most keenly, is I now make the decisions I know are the best for me. What I've learned from running has bled into every aspect of my life. Let's take, for example, my discipline. Whereas I used to come home and maybe sit down and maybe go on my phone and then maybe lose the impetus completely for training, I now have the discipline and the knowledge to know that if I come in, if I continue my movement, if I go upstairs and immediately get changed, if I go running, I can always make it happen, because I'm choosing discipline over motivation or emotion. Motivation, I've learned, comes and goes. Discipline, you can build over time until you don't need to rely on motivation or emotion whatsoever. It takes time, but it happens. So be prepared. If you enter this game for long term, you really are going to change. But luckily, it's for the better. The longer you stay running, the more you realise that training methods change. And sometimes that is a hard truth, because you might have settled on the way you like to train. And that's okay, by the way. But my argument to you is that sometimes there are other ways out there that could take you to the next level. So isn't it our responsibility as athletes to at least try them? Perhaps we try sessions pushing our lactate threshold rather than VO2 max all-out speed. Maybe we factor in drills. Maybe we experiment with double run days or marathon-specific sessions. Whatever it may be, variety can be the spice of running life. And you know what? Maybe it'll turn out that the method you like is the best for you anyway. But it was fun to experiment. Another hard truth that you make when you're in running for long term is that those decisions that you used to think were good are actually bad. So you stop making them. Things like drinking alcohol. Come on, we all know that it's not a good thing for you. You might think it is, we might be programmed to believe it, but it's not. I'm just joking, that is non-alcoholic beer. You make bad food decisions less and less as Well, because you know what helps you train and what doesn't, what's positive, what's detrimental. And you even start realising that that episode of that TV programme that you want to watch, probably going to be there tomorrow, maybe you don't have to watch it right now. And you realise actually, your time's probably best off spent in here recharging and recovering. But here's what running's taught me. It's all about delayed gratification. So those decisions that you make about consistent sleep might not pay off in the short term, gonna pay off in the long term. So making good decisions in the moment, when we used to have a warped perception of what good decisions are, that's what it's all about.
Before it absolutely hammers down, I should make this point. Look at that dark sky there. One of the hard truths about training long term is that there is an inevitability, unfortunately, that at some point you're gonna get slower and there's nothing you can do about it. But it's not as dark clouds and doom and gloom as behind me. It's now actually raining too hard. Well, it's not too hard to go out, but I'm just biding my time. Here's how I look at it is, I am gonna slow down eventually. I'm 45 and it's gonna happen, but it's not gonna happen as soon as people think it's happening, as long as you stay consistent. We're still out here, look. You look at this weather, it is absolutely awful. Still out here training, doing our thing. So this is how I look at it. It is inevitable that I will slow down, but I'm 45 and I absolutely don't intend on slowing down for at least another 10 to 15 years. And I plan to tackle that with consistency, a good mix of sessions, speed sessions, tempo sessions, mixing up and looking after my body. So the message is, don't just accept slowing down. I know it's an inevitability long term, but just because you're not 21 anymore doesn't mean you can't run fast. I still believe I've got my fastest marathon time in my legs and I'm training accordingly.
And if this video brought you value in any way, then as I said at the start of the video, consider subscribing to the channel and help get us to 100k. And if you want to train for a marathon in the autumn in a guided way, then you know where the information is as well, in the description. So if you like the video, you're definitely going to like this one, which was the original of this whole series, the 9 hard truths of being a runner. Hope you enjoy. See you next week.